Hello, everyone. Welcome to Masters Muscle Podcast, episode 12. And tonight we are adding grace, beauty, and class to the episode. Please, Vinny, take it away.
Hey, everyone, when Sean and I got together, the first couple times I was on his podcast, Subs Talk Radio, and I presented the idea of taking my idea of Masters Muscle and creating a podcast for the over 40 fitness enthusiast, competitor, whatever you want to call it, right? So I never thought in a million years like I'd have all these great guests that have been coming on. And when I first started to get into bodybuilding, it was like Sharon Bruneau was like on everywhere in all the magazines, and she was one of the names in the Olympia and everything. So Sharon won the, correct me if I'm wrong, the 91 overall North American Championships to earn a pro card. She's a top 10 in the Miss Olympia, and she's been on like almost every magazine cover, Flex Magazine 4 times, Muscle and Fitness 3 times, Muscle Mag International, Women's Physique World, Muscular Development, and the first woman to be ever signed by Weider Publication. Thank you for coming on.
One of the first.
One of the first? Okay. So that's what it said on Google. So you were the first. Everyone, welcome Sharon Bruneau. Sharon Bruneau. Sharon, thank you so much for coming on.
Vinny, how you doing?
So for everybody that doesn't know Sharon, if it's okay, I'd like to just show a quick 45-second video. And if you've not had one of Sharon's magazine covers, then you're not a bodybuilding enthusiast or fan. That's all there is to it.
Thank you.
This is at the Olympia.
That's the 93 Miss Olympia. Yeah.
I remember this routine.
This is so much fun.
That's great. Was that a commercial?
Fun. What, with Jay Leno?
Yes.
No. That was on The Tonight Show. We did a comedy skit, myself and Erica Kern, who's another champion from the 90s.
Pretty awesome.
With along with Kevin Eubanks, his band leader, and we just did a quick little comedy skit that he aired later that day on The Tonight Show. So that was
pretty cool.
Yeah.
You pretty much were all over the place in like different aspects in your career with acting and magazine covers, competing. How did you get started?
How did I get started and which? I don't know.
So, modeling came first, right?
I guess, Well, the modeling, yeah, I began in modeling because I am 5'9", tall and skinny, and which fared well for that industry. But I was always an athlete in high school, and just after graduation, I started modeling right away. But I missed the track and field, I missed the cheerleading, I missed the physical aspect of my life. So I started going to a gym just to get some shape on me. A few years later, the owner of the Gold's Gym out in Canada at the time had approached me and said, well, when are you going to compete? And I'm like, what do you mean? I just like working out. Knew nothing of the sort, but she's the one that initially got me started. And then a few years later, I entered the 91 North American Championships, just hoping, to place in the top 5. I really, when I showed up for that show in 91 in Los Angeles, and I saw the competition backstage, and apparently that was the largest North American that they had. There was 120 women competing, in lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight all combined, but still, you have to win the overall, right? And I thought, God, I just hope I can make the top 5. So when I received the pro card, I was, elated, but I was just in shock. And from that day on, my life changed. The doors opened, and through Joe Weider offering me a contract, I was blessed to work with the Weider team, all the other athletes. So now I wasn't the first woman under contract with Joe Weider. At the time I entered the scene, bodybuilding in 91, that's when the contract war started. It began because Vince McMahon from WWF started the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation. He was scooping the athletes, and he's the one that started the contracts. So people were like, well, hey, I can make a lot of money. Sure. So Joe's like, well, wait a minute. Everyone, I'm going to lose them. So he started offering contracts. And Metrics came out, and then Twinland. So the contract wars were on. And I wanted to go with Joe. It's like I came through, I climbed the ladder, reading Muscle and Fitness and looking at all my favorites. And, even my dad remembered Joe Weider. It's like, holy cow, you're under contract with Joe Weider, right?
Sure.
So I was one of the first group of women, but I think Linda Murray might have been the first one under contract, because there was Linda, Schreiner, Laura Cravell at that time, and then Shelley Beatty and myself. I think we were the first of the women to join under contract. So, and then doors open. Once, of course, you're on covers of magazines and you travel the world and you meet such an eclectic group of people that actually follow the sport of bodybuilding. And in the day, it was just bodybuilding. Well, it's all bodybuilding still, but you know what I mean. And there was only like the bodybuilding, class. And so, film and TV was offered, and hosting segments for ESPN, for PAX Television. And, then I went back into fitness modeling after retiring competitions. I mean, everything just opened up, and you just grab what you can while it's hot, right? And that's what you do. So I had so much fun. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks to bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Sharon, your Wikipedia, I don't know how true it is, says that from when you went from modeling to bodybuilding, you put on 50 pounds. Is that right?
50 pounds. Wow.
That's what I was going to.
No, I weighed 150 from, so I put on about 30 pounds. About 30 pounds, because about 120 pounds prior to getting to the competition level. I did put on a lot of muscle. At my height, off season, I was 165 pounds of muscle. And especially during that time, especially when you're under contract, you try to stay in decent, like not contest shape, which is impossible to stay in year round, as you guys know, but you had to stay in shape because you did all these appearances and photo shoots and seminars and so forth. So when I was 165 pounds, not for the 92 Miss Olympia, but for the 93, and then after that I trimmed down for the 94 Miss Olympia. I lost about 20 pounds, and then I went into the Fitness Olympia, and then I came down again to about 125, 130 pounds, went back into fitness modeling, and that's when I started working on stunts and film and TV. So yeah, it was just a yo-yo effect, but I knew what I was doing. It wasn't, I had to do it smart for health reasons, obviously.
Sure.
It wasn't like it fell off yesterday. And I know my body so well. I know how to change. I'm a bodybuilder, like right now, if I had a part in a Marvel movie, or if somebody dared me and offered me a ton of money to go into Masters Olympia or something, I know how to put it back on.
Let's go.
Okay, right. All right. But so I did put on 50 pounds, but it sure felt like it though. Because when you put on a lot of muscle, especially for my frame, it just felt like I was,
How many Olympias did you do in total?
Not that many. 1, 2, 3 Olympias, and then the inaugural Fitness Olympia, and then I retired. And I did, I think, 3 Miss Internationals of the Arnold's Classics in the day, is what it was called, but not too many. Yeah.
Pretty cool. And did you do a lot of guest postings and seminars and things like that?
Oh, we were kept busy, all of us, and again, such a blessing, because I was able to travel the world, and got to see so many wonderful places, and which a lot of the promoters I'm still friends with to this day. Just wonderful times, but we were constantly representing Weider in seminars and motivational workshops, even at Camp Pendleton. I worked out a few times with Mike Matarazzo and Camp Lejeune, and up in Corpus Christi as well. And it's just we did a lot of work, and I still love doing that, giving seminars, or even if it's just one-on-one. It's so important to me, because it's still my passion.
Sure.
Entire competition, right? I just love helping people get to a healthier, fitter, better version of themselves. So yeah, still in the blood.
You know, I remember in 1993, I won my weight class at the USA, and it was in Santa Monica.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's a bigger show. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing photo shoots right after the contest, and I was all psyched. Tuesday night, the photo shoots were done, and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, she comes in. She goes, "I got good news and I got bad news. Weider called. They want to do a photo shoot with you on Thursday."
Right.
And I had to stay on a diet another 2 days. That was the bad news, right? So we went to this studio in I don't even remember where, but it was part of the Weider headquarters. And the first big picture, it was 93. It was a group of pictures of all the women that I guess Weider had, and one of them was you. And that was the first time I heard your name or saw your name.
In
93, yeah. And it was on the wall.
Do you remember?
What's that?
Who was the photographer? Was it Bill Dobbins, Robert Reef?
I could have been Bill Dobbins, because I remember we were talking. I'm like, I wonder if Joe Weider will be at the photo shoot. And like, Joe Weider's not going to be at his own photo shoot, and he was there. And he set up this mirror that he set it up where the photographer was behind the mirror. And so everyone can see what they look like and posed correctly. That was my first major photo shoot.
Wow, and Joe was there.
Joe was there, yeah. Yeah, I got to meet him.
Honor. He was only at one of my photo shoots. I go visit him every week, but yeah, that's a big deal.
It was pretty cool.
For the men, though, I don't know why. And I never had a mirror.
It was a different industry back then.
Pose. Here's a chair. Go do something, you know. Okay.
Yeah. So like I remember, so years later, so when you were doing photo shoots, you'd set up the photo shoot, and the photographer would then sell the pictures to the magazines, or you were under contract with Weider, so you would automatically,
that was part of
it. You get in. But like, it's a different industry today. There's no such thing as a photo shoot today that you get for free.
Well, yeah, right. And even if you weren't under contract, they would pay the models when they shot them, right? That the athletes would. You know, I always have this conversation. And I just posted something yesterday on my feeds about some of the differences from then and now. And when I get together with the old crew, the old school crew, and man, we had it good. I knew I had something special, and I knew I was very blessed, because what an honor to have a contract and to be on a cover, right, of the publications that you were constantly, reviewing and researching in. But with the end of the publications, it kind of put an end to a period where the athletes in the day, they made us stars. They made us bigger than life, because you saw us everywhere on the newsstands, everything else. There was only so many of us, the pro level. Right, there's a lot of competitors, but there's only so many pros, because you could only get, I think there was only 2 shows a year at that time that gave out pro cards for men and women. So what he won the nationals, the North Americans, or the world, or I think also the USA's might have.
USA.
Okay, so it was like, wow, I got a pro card. It was a big deal, right?
Oh, huge.
And with the internet now, there's it gives a huge platform for everyone, because we're all stars. Come on. But there's so many, and it's just almost watered down. There's so many competitors. Like, who do you follow unless you know somebody who knows them or know them? And, it's like when people ask to join my page, I'm like, wow, she looks incredible. He looks amazing. I don't know who they are, right? Until then I research them. It's like, oh, man, good for them. Congratulations. They won this show and that show. But it's hard to keep up, because there's so many competitors. And there's so many shows, and there's a lot of champions. So I think it's wonderful that everybody has a platform with all the divisions, all the stages, all the shows. But it's kind of mixed. That it's like, I think it lost a lot of shine.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's a great attitude that you have, your outlook on it. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, because it's just so much fun, and it's just so good for you. It's great. Everybody needs a goal,
Sure.
and also be at my best shape and to be fit and healthy and show it off on stage or on internet or whatever have you. Right? There's still some publications floating around. I think everybody should, try at least once, right? Just to see what you can do for yourself, let alone how you're going to place in a show, right? It changes your life. I mean, I still eat the same as I did when I was bodybuilding. I mean, I watch what I eat. It stays lean, and I have a cheat day once a week, and don't miss a workout. I mean, I've never been the same since. So,
when you were putting your diets together when you were competing, did you do it on your own? Did you have a coach? Because I know, because we had just a couple people in the gym to pick, somebody's brain. Now today. Yeah. They have the internet and social media, and a lot of competitors today are extremely confused because they're reading things. We didn't have a lot of resources. So how did you go about putting your program together for the North America, the Olympia?
Well, when you don't know, you ask, right? I had no clue. So fortunately for me, the young lady that owned the Gold's Gym in Canada that encouraged me to go compete at the local show. At the time, I was living in Alberta, and I said, okay. And she just took me under her wing. I said, well, I don't know how to do that, And I went and saw one of the shows. I think it was like the Southern Reach. It was a small show, like probably one of my first shows. And when I saw that, I said, I like that. I want to do that. Right. And of course, then I saw the flex cover with Rachel McLish on the cover. I'm like, no, I really want to do that. Yeah. So I went in. And so she's like, I said, I don't know. She goes, I'll show you, because she used to compete. And she was actually a powerlifting champion back in the day. This is like early 80s we're talking about. So she just, gave me a guide and took me under her wing and got me through my first 2 amateur shows, and I just took it from there. And then when I reached the nationals, I'm like, okay, I have to get bigger and better. So we switched things up, and I just followed what she taught me. And we didn't have internet, right, in the day, like you're talking about. So I picked up the Muscle and Fit, and I couldn't wait for, all the magazines to come out. And, what's the news? What are they doing? What does Cory do? The guys I didn't care about at the time. I'm like, what are the girls doing? How does she look like that? So you got to really do your research, ask. You're so correct, though, with the internet being like so full of information. Like, everyone's like, I don't know, what do you believe? Who do you trust? Who do you listen to? Some people are too shy to come out and ask, right? Now, I get a lot of people. And thank you. Please feel free to DM me either on Instagram or Facebook and ask, how do I do this? What'd you do for that? And I will be launching, we'll talk later, my channel finally, and I'm going to have constant streams on teaching nutrition and fitness. But be careful on the internet, because there could be a lot of false information. You have somebody that or that has gone through the process, reach out to them. Don't be shy to reach out to me or some of your favorites out there. Go to somebody who's actually done it like a few times, that has reached a certain level. It's what worries me is, either girl or guy, and they win a show. It's like, oh, I'm a professional, and follow my channel, and I'm going to teach you. And what they end up doing is they're reading what someone else says. Okay, here's what you do. Some people get hurt, in any sport, right? So always, if you're going to research the internet, because you don't really have someone accessible to you, look for the ones who have made it, who's been around for a while. Trusted source, like how many followers do they have? Just ask around. But it's really, there's no secret. It's just like you are what you eat. You got to put the work in, the training. But then, people tend to overtrain, or, the carb load on chocolate, or, it's just, I've got stories. I mean, why didn't I think of that? I could have been carb loaded on chocolate this entire time. It's like, well, be careful. Got to ask and make sure whoever you're following knows what they're doing. Right. And there's a lot of great you know, I know now it's ebooks, or you know, if you're still like me, like a hard copy book. There's something about holding a book and reading it, right? There's a lot of good material out there, though. So I think everyone should try. You know, it's so important, especially as we age. You've got to stay active. Got to stay active and just eat healthy. No one's going to help you but you, right?
Right.
Not preaching.
It's like I tell Vinny, why does your age have to define like how you should look and how you should feel?
It's just a number, right? Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a number, but like how I approach it be a little different.
Oh, absolutely. It's inevitable. We're all going to age. We're all going to, you know, face some sort of medical issue or physical issue. That's why I tell you, it's like, it's so important to keep moving at all ages, especially as we get older, especially, you know, 30 and then over 40, you know, that's when the body starts to change and muscle starts to slip in there. And, you know, you just got to keep things moving, keep things strong, so you're not so disabled once you do reach a certain age. And that's what's happened with our elders, is they reach a certain age. Okay, you know, it's like they stop using it, then you start to lose it, right? You know, it's just a power walk every day. You've got to keep the muscles moving, and you've got to keep yourself active. And nutrition is everything, 90%, right, guys?
Absolutely.
That's it. Sharon, I have a couple of questions. People are either DMing me or I have a comment board on the side here asking about your magazines. Like, how many magazine covers have you been on?
I don't know. I'm asked that a lot. You know, off the tip of my, you know, it's 3 behind you, but off the tip of my head, you know, at least a dozen. But then there's so many. I keep receiving surprises from Europe or Asia, and it's like, I didn't know I had that cover. Because what happens a lot of times, like you see the images behind you, right? So if I shoot with Robert Reef or Bill Dobbins or Chris Lund, or, you know, the photographers in the day that did a lot of the bodybuilding shoots, it will be on like the US cover, and then you'll see the same photo, maybe a different pose. Instead of like posing like this, I'm like this, you know, and it's on the UK cover, and that same kind of photo will be on the Tokyo cover. You know, it's a lot of fun to see. And or the photos that the photographer or the publisher, be it Joe Weider or Robert Kennedy or who it may have been, didn't choose on their covers. You know, maybe China liked it and they put it on their covers. So you just don't know what's floating out there. But I mean, hey, one cover I'd still be like, yeah, I got it, you know. Yeah, I got it covered, you know. So yeah, and it's such a, man, you know, that's just as much of a high as win on a show, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you remember your first cover?
I do, and I didn't know I was getting a cover. That's before the contracts. So when I turned pro in 91, everybody, like all the athletes, and I found show after show after show, the photographers that all go there, and if it's like, say in Ohio, they all like rent hotel rooms and bring the athletes are all running back and forth, shoot with the different photographers for all the magazines. I remember that year I was in Los Angeles, and I shot with Ralph DeHaan and Jim Mantler and Robert Reef, but I mean, there was no contracts. And some of the photos, I'm thinking, oh, I hope I get it in a magazine. I hope I, you know. And hey, you got a cover? What? You know. And I think it was Muscular Development. I think it was my first with either Milo Soshev or Sonny Schmidt. I think that was my first cover, either Muscular Development or Muscle Mag. It was one of the two, but yeah, I mean, you know, usually with Weider, you're told you're going to get a cover, right? Fantastic. That's when Joe would show up for the cover shoots. But yeah, I mean, in the earlier days, no, you didn't know if you're going to get a cover. You know,
Who's your favorite athlete to shoot with? Because I know I've looked at some of them. I saw Lee Labrada a few times, Rich Gaspari, Milos. Was there somebody that you really blended with?
They're all great. You know, it's like, it was a huge family. Now we're all excited for each other because, hey, we're getting a cover, man, you know. I mean, Lee, consummate professional. They all are, you know. I don't have a favorite guy that I worked with on a cover because they're all just wonderful to work with. And, you know, it's just, was so much fun. Probably my most favorite cover of all time. And it wasn't even a solo one. I mean, you know, those are pretty special. The solo, when you get a cover on your own, it's like, wow, you know, this is like very cool. But it was a flex cover with Cory Everson and Linda Murray.
Everyone's had that one. That's a great one.
That's a great picture.
So much fun. And, you know, and I said to Robert Reeves, like, it's too bad we didn't take video while we're shooting that, because all the stuff that happened in between in the background, and we had so much fun. We had a lot of laughs. And yeah, they're just a dream. The two of them are just amazing ladies. But with the guys, you know, I had fun with everyone. Probably my favorite to work with was Lou Ferrigno, because he always, you know, he's like, I'm going to look after you. Just come on over here. I'm going to look after you. You know, it's like, okay. Just a sweetheart. Yeah. But yeah, again, I mean, they're all fun to travel with and everything. Yeah.
You mentioned Jim Mentler. You know, he was inspired after 9/11 to join the military.
We're still friends. I see all of his posts.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He went a whole different direction.
He climbed right up that ladder too. Just, you know, respect to Jim.
Total respect for him.
Yeah. Wonderful man. Yeah,
he was one of the best in the industry. Yeah. It's pretty cool what he did. So
most definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Sharon, somebody's asking, during your bodybuilding days, who were some of your biggest celebrity fans?
Gregory Hines.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Gregory was all about bodybuilding. I mean, for all of us, he was at all the shows. He, you know, one of our Gold's Gym family members. You know, he was part of the early crew. I mean, he was just wonderful. Remember one time, and actually, I don't think I competed at that Ms. Internationals, but I was there for Weider at the Weider booth, and so, you know, at the major shows, they always have the banquets afterwards, right? I don't know if they still do, but in the day, they don't, right? Because I was just at
not the way it used to be.
Party. Okay. Used to be at the Arnold's Classics, which is what it was called in the day, because it was only the Arnold's Classics and the Miss Internationals, bodybuilding. And or at the Olympia, they would have the banquet at the Saturday night. And it was oh gosh. Hold on, guys. All right, how do I get back? Hold on.
We still see you. Don't worry. It's okay.
Okay, but I don't see you. Here we go. I'm back. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
Honestly, my phone's
You're in high demand.
Go away. Whoever you are, you're in trouble. What was I saying? Oh, yeah.
Talking about the black tie affair.
Yeah. And they were like, well, unless you paid a lot for a ticket, if you're a fan, you could join. And it was like $100 a plate or something like that. But you got to dine with all this, you know, the bodybuilders and, you know, the promoters, photographers, everybody was there, right? And or Arnold and Joe Weider. And anyway, I was with Diana Dennis. And we're all dressed up. And so we went together to the banquet, and we're going to meet everyone there. So she and I, and there was nowhere to sit. We didn't have a table. All the seats were taken. It's like, oh no, what are we going to do? So I said to Diana, I'm like, oh, you know, we'll go to the bar and then we'll wait till everybody kind of filters out and then we'll go mingle. Gregory Hines came up and he grabbed me by the hand and he grabbed Diana and he goes, no, it's because of you two and everyone else that everybody shows up here. I am like, he was really upset. He was really upset that we didn't have a table. That, you know, and he went and asked Jim Lorimer, the late Jim Lorimer, and Jim was a sweetheart. It wasn't Jim's fault. It was just so busy and everything. But some of the seats were taken that shouldn't have been, you know. And Greg was like, I'm not going back to the table. And he was sitting with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jim Lorimer. And he goes, until these two ladies join our table or they get their own seats. I mean, that's how much he supported, you know, all of us. And we all, you know, he's a great guy. But hey, you know, I used to go to the, you know, the morning crew, you know, I'm talking 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning at Gold's Gym then. It's the Mecca.
Wow.
That's when a lot of the athletes, not just as bodybuilders, but you had your WWE guys, your football, NBA, you know, all like athletes and became very good friends with Jimmy Kahn and Ray Liotta. Because
Wow.
stars will go there to work out as well. I remember one time I was stretching, I'm done, and that's when I was training with Charles Glass, which I learned a lot from, because you always learn, right? And he is one amazing trainer. He's still training people. He's just amazing. Anyway, finished training with Charlie, and I'm stretching, and I hear, "Hi, Sharon." I look over, and it's Ray Liotta. I'm like, "Hi, Ray." Oh, okay. It was just a big family because there was so much respect for each other, all the athletes, and a lot of the film stars. And they were fans of the sport.
Really cool.
Yeah, but yeah, Gregor is definitely, I found to be the biggest fan of.
Yeah, I saw Gregory at the New York, the Night of the Champions.
Oh yeah,
that was the first time, and he knew my name. I was like, Gregory,
right? He knew my name.
He goes, "Hi, Vinny." It's reminding me you said what Ray Liotta did. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a great. You're back. I mean, your whole era that you could be a part of that era. It's so awesome. Because I think I got the tail end of your era. And I ended up with Universal Nutrition for 18 years.
Good for you. Wow.
Yeah. So,
good for you.
I had a contract. Yeah. And, so
you don't get this anymore.
No, they don't give contracts anymore.
Very few, I think, might still offer contracts to.
Very few, if they do. It's a different sport today. It's not the same sport that you and I knew back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's kind of, it's wonderful. There's so many other competitors joining, but now it's just so many. It's like, okay. It's just, again, it's kind of lost a bit of the shine. I hate saying that because I'm not saying that the competitors and the champs today aren't shining. They're amazing.
I know what you mean.
Amazing physiques, they're beautiful, but there's just so many, to keep up with. But yeah, and you think about our era too. I mean, during that time, just the other day was the 10th year anniversary of losing Joe Weider.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
To be able to share and say that I used to go sit with him once a week and we chit chat about sports and whatever, right? California, movies, you guide me on my career choices and, and just pick his brain on whatever. But, what an honor that was. And when when I think back, it's like how blessed my timing was, right? I didn't know. It's like, it was just during that time, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and some of the early 2000s. I just feel with Joe gone, his legacy will live on forever, and so will Ben. But it's just a lost era.
Yeah.
Kind of ended that, the glory days, if I want to call it that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sharon, when you went pro, was your goal to win top 5 in a show, be Miss Olympia? What was the goal?
Well, I mean, every competitor, every athlete wants to win, And I'm not saying this because I never won a Miss Olympia. Man, that would have been a dream. And mad respect to the Miss Olympias because that's hard to do, especially when you win one. You got to defend your title each year, and like Cory and Linda and Vicky Gates, that like they all were, able to do it like several times. I would have loved to have won a Miss Olympia, but I kept imploding. And earlier on, when I saw Rachel's cover back in 82, 83, I'm sorry, it was 83, 84 when I first started to train for, maybe I'll do a show. And that's when I saw Rachel. And mind you, I was still modeling. So when I started training, I'm like, hey, I like this. Hey, I'm getting a little butt. I'm native. We have long, no butts, right? And so I'm like, what did my body like? My body. I like modeling, but I want curves. So, I like to be curly or curvy, and girly. And then I saw Gladys Portuguese. And just stunning as well and beautiful. And she's a competitor. I thought, I want to do that because they're still modeling, and yet they get to be athletic and have these beautiful bodies and in the pages, magazines, and everything. And my agent was saying, you're getting too muscular. If you keep it up, we can't use you. Nobody wants a female Arnold Schwarzenegger, modeling their clothes. So I'm like, well, no, I'm having too much fun with this, but but I like being a model. So that was my goal. And I said to my original coach, I would love to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness, and I want to step on the Olympia stage just to say I did it. And I'm, yeah, you know, I should have said, and put, you know, and Miss Olympia in there too. But yeah, I mean, it was always my goal to get on the stage at least, and just to be included with the best in the world. And especially then, there was just bodybuilding. There was just so many pro women at the Miss Olympias because there was only so many pro cards handed out each year. So it was very personal. You know, there was only so many of us. So it made you feel even more like special. Like, I can't believe I made it here to be in this lineup. So, I mean, just being there, you know, was, yeah, like, wow, huge blessing. And thank you. But you put your work in, you know, you just got to believe in yourself and just go for it.
Now,
Sharon, will you go ahead, Vinny?
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
So I know you're very tall at 5'9", and I believe Cory Everson was 5'9", but in general, were you taller for for the competition?
She's taller for 10.
Okay.
Taller than I am.
But were you taller for the competitions? Because I know Linda Murray, I think, is like 5'5". Were you one of the taller people at every show?
I was myself, Nikki Fuller, and
was Shelly tall? Shelly Beatty?
No, Shelly's 5'7".
Okay.
The tallest girls, you know, because Cory had left when I came onto the scene. Linda Murray was the Miss Olympia reigning during my time at the Olympia. So with that lineup, yeah, it was myself, Nikki Fuller, and I think Debbie Mugley.
Okay.
I think.
And was correct me if I'm wrong, was Denise Rakowski in that?
Denise, yeah, she competed at my last Miss Olympia, so that would have been the big, so 93 or 94. Anyway.
Yeah.
Denise, and I used to see Denise at the gym all the time, and Denise was shorter than myself, and she's like 5'7" as well.
And I think as a amateur, you competed against Nicole Bass. I think Nicole Bass was tall too, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think she was over 6 easily.
Well, that was in 91 North Americans, right?
Okay.
Actually, at that time, 91, I was kind of like, you know, because I was living in Vancouver, Canada. And there's still, to this day, there's a lot of film shot in Vancouver. It's called North Hollywood because there's so much work done, you know, in Vancouver. So I thought, you know what, I'm getting way too big. The Nationals, I was a very big girl, and the North Americans. And I'm thinking, no way, I'm getting way too big because I wanted to get into to be like Rachel and Gladys and Cory, you know, and it's like I'm one of the bigger girls here. I'm not liking it. So I don't know if I want to do this anymore because I'm not making any money. I'm losing in my head. I'm losing money. You know, I was modeling and now I'm, you know, auditions, forget about it because I was so muscular, right? So I wasn't even going to go to the 91 North Americans, but, you know, I was talked into it and encouraged, like, okay, I'll go. And so I finally get there, but I trained for it. It's probably the best I ever looked at any show because half of me was like, I really don't care. I'll train for it so I don't look like an idiot. But if I win, I win. If I lose, oh well, you know. And so I put the work in. I did everything, you know. And I show up in LA, and I get backstage and looking around. I think, oh my God, there's Nicole Bass and Tazzy Cologne and like a lot of champions I saw in the magazines. And Nicole's like over 6 feet, you know. Saying, holy, I should have trained harder. I was like thinking I gotta look like a fool out there, you know. And so I really did not expect to win that show at all. So when I did, it was like I just overwhelmed. You got to be kidding, you know. It's like half me didn't care, you know. And I win the show, I felt guilty. Like, oh, I won, you know. And I did not expect how the gates would open. I didn't expect anything. I thought I was going to take home a trophy. Yay, I got a pro card. I did it. All right, now what? You know, on to the next. You know, I didn't know I was going to get a contract and actually make a living, like have an incredible career for the next decade. You know, it's just incredible. So, cool. Yeah, there were some big girls at the 91.
So, at what point was there a transition, or was there a transition of you getting into film, like being on the Jay Leno show, to some movies? You were into stunt. You were a stunt woman. How did all that like
Well, again,
transpire?
because when you're on a cover of a magazine and people say, "Hey, who's she? She'd be well at this. Let's bring her in." And I remember, now this is before the Marvel franchise, came along. I would love to be in one of those. I mean, most of the major actors are dying to be in them, like, because they're so popular and they're so much fun to do. But when they're making like some TV shows or say a movie and they wanted like a female bodybuilder, it might have been a couple times where they want a bodybuilder, right? But most times, like, so the casting call, my agent, like, all right, great, they're looking for bodybuilding, fitness, whatever, right? So we show up and all of us will be there, myself and Cory and her sister Cam, and 85, we'd see him there, and, a few of the girls will be there. And then when in those, we're talking mid-90s, when they talked about bodybuilders for film, then you end up with someone like, gorgeous, but I mean, trying to think of her name. Anyway, one of the actresses that looks like a jazzer-sized girl, It's like, well, I thought they wanted bodybuilders, Well, she was too big, too muscular. And then one time they, but then, I got this Garbage music video. It was a grunge group called Garbage back in the 90s. So I go in there and there's they had wrestlers and bodybuilders and fitness and like some of these MMA girls and these basketball ladies from UCLA. I mean, every mix of athlete, put it that, gymnasts, like this all looked like the circus, we're all here. And they put a group of girls into a room and they had us wrestle. What?
Okay.
For a music video? Like, what's this for? Like, what do they want us, what are they doing?
Survival of the fittest?
I don't know. So I went in with one of the NBA girls. And I'm tall. She made me look like a little shorty, and she was 6'4", 6'5", something like a very tall young lady. So I'm looking up at her, and she goes, "I don't want to wrestle," And I said, "Neither do I. I have an idea." And because she was so tall, right? And I was starting to trim down at that time, and I think it was after my Fitness Olympia showing, and so. We're in gym gear. There's this one that's in shorts and sport tops, right? So I had her put her hand on my head, and I did the old, I'm like this trying to punch her, and she just holding me back. It was kind of funny because she's so tall. I'm like, I'm gonna get you on her, And she's like just saying, and they loved it. They loved it. So we booked it, and it was her, myself, and two other of the UCLA basketball girls. And they were even taller than she was. So, but we're all dressed as these demonic nuns. Had us like and we're walking down this frozen vegetable aisle at a closed up like Ralph's food store, and we just look spooky, and we're holding crosses all like that was it. And they had everyone wrestling. So like, why'd they have us wrestle? We just want to see you guys wrestle. And like, oh, I got so many stories, but no, as I trimmed down more, and then of course, I got an agent, and because my face is all over, Cory I think did the best when it came to film. She got a lot of great roles and a lot of good work, and she looked fantastic, right? And but and then my late man was a stunt coordinator, so he'd say, "Hey, babe, are you available?" Yes, I am. You'd be perfect to double so and so. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's just like networking and people and then I worked at 20th Century Fox for a few years in a division there that I later became senior vice president for, and
wow,
worked hard. But it was so much fun, and when you have a knack for something, you just kind of put yourself into it. And it took me a couple of years, but it's like I was honored. And then I started to supervise sets. But then I got to meet a lot more producers and backers and that, and they say, "Hey, you're also that actress, right? A model? Hey, we could use you next week." Fantastic. So I got to host all these segments for PAX. It's just the way everything kind of connects. And I always say it's all about the networking. It's all about who you know. And but you got to be able to back yourself up too, right? But it was like a total constant floodgates. It was just constant. Everything kept pouring in. And then with the internet, it's so much more easier to do, right? To put your face out there. And, oh yeah, it's it all kind of connects. It's all entertainment, baby.
Was Nemesis one of your first movies? Was Nemesis one of the first movies?
Yes, and that's how I found out about Stunt Work as well. And that was so much fun because all of us girls were on it, right? All my girls, Debbie Mugley, Sue Price was a star. We're all taken 2 weeks out of the Miss Internationals. So we had to stay in shape, which is part of the contract. No problem. We got paid well. We flew out to Globe, Arizona, and we shot for a few weeks. And I got to meet the stunt crew there, and which is interesting because the coordinator of that, the Nemesis that I shot, because there was a series of them, was good friends with my late man. I hadn't met Scott at the time yet, but anyway, Bob Brown and a few of our stunt doubles were doing all this action. So I'm like, that's fun, and you guys get paid to do that. That's fun, yeah, we go on sets everywhere. And that's why I was like, wow, I want to do that. I want to do that. So I talked to Joe Weider, and of course, because he's very close with Arnold and everything. And he goes, "I ain't gotta hurt yourself, just keep competing. I'll make you a star, kind of thing." I'm like, okay. But then years later, I got to do it because, became friends with everyone and connected with that family. But Nemesis, yeah, was the first, film that I did. Yeah.
Sharon, somebody had asked, being a stunt double, did you ever work as a stunt double, and for whom?
I didn't do a lot of stunt doubling. Brooke Burns for Single White Female 2.
Okay.
I jumped her 'cause I got through like a big glass cabinet. I was shoved backwards into a big cabinet. And I forget the actress. It was a movie called RSVP that at that time went straight to video. But I got squashed under a hood of a car and kind of rolled under it, and it dragged me. And then I just did NDA stunts. For an example, like on Smoking Aces, I was part of a group of 4 stunt women, and we got in a big cat fight. We're being kicked out of a hotel room, and so we're fighting in the hotel room, fighting down the hall. And, it was, it was just so much fun. But yeah, I would have. I don't know. I kind of look back. I am blessed for what I accomplished, but man, I look at that and some of these stunt girls. I don't even call myself a stunt woman. I worked as a stunt girl, but these women are freaking amazing. It's either they have like a background, same with the men, whether, you're a high diver or, a gymnast or, great on motorcycles, whatever, like they each have their forte and they just go on a kick ass. It's just phenomenal athletes and artists. But the stuff I got to do was a lot of fun.
It's funny, like, I've been around the sport a long time, and one of the things that always stand out with a lot of athletes is that they have a big ego, and they have a big too arrogant. And you come off so honestly pure and so humble. No, I'm being serious. So it's like, yeah, you might say like,
you Sharon, you take the cake.
Well, no, you talk about how you meet people and you network. But I also think that the way you present yourself, you're so just genuinely interested in so many things that you take yourself serious, but you don't take yourself serious, which is a nice attribute to be around somebody like you. That it's like, oh my God, will she shut up? No, you got a great story. It's nice. Nice to hear.
Shut up.
No, it's all good.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I'm always, I always appreciate everything. I don't take,
and it shows,
things for granted. There are certain things that I have, and I always regret it because I try not to take anything for granted because I just feel, even though, I put the work in, but, it could be taken away any minute. And I'm just thankful that I always had the opportunity, that I've been blessed. And I just like to take that and then just help someone else. It's like pay it forward, right?
Sure.
We're all here to help each other, and we're all here to learn. And, people are like, God, you're so lucky. Well, yeah, but, I worked for it too, right? And that's all you got to do. But yeah, I know I met a couple of, meatheads along the way. But overall, my crew, like maybe 2 stinkers in the bunch that I've ever worked with, as far as egos go. And I find too, like the ones that did have a bit of an ego, The older we get, like it kind of just mellows out, right? There's no
Sure, absolutely.
there's no more competition. It's like now we just kind of, you know, all get along. But yeah, there wasn't too many. There was just a couple. No, I'm not going to name them, but there's just a couple.
We're not going to ask.
One of us, but yeah. But thank you
You,
for that compliment. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
you mentioned Rachel McLish a lot. Was she the person that maybe you maybe aspired to physique wise, or just first person that kind of took your attention?
Oh, everything. Because I knew she was, you know, a bit shorter than I, but I felt, you know, just like her whole package. She's so, just the way she lit up a room, she lit up a cover, she lit up the pages. She was just gorgeous. And I read her articles and she's very articulate. And then when I got to see her in seminars or heard her speak, it's like, this woman is amazing. And yes, very true, you know, very eloquent, kind lady. But she was, I loved everything about her. But when I just saw her, just the way she emitted from the page and her physique, everything was just, to me, perfection. You know, she was athletic but still feminine and very sexy. And I'm all about the sex appeal. It's got to stay feminine and sexy, right? You can be 6'4", you can be 240 pounds as a woman, but you can still emit sexuality. And, you know, Rachel had it tenfold. Then along came Gladys Portuguese. And then along came Cory, you know, and these, and Linda Murray. Just like beautiful, very, you know, approachable. They just make you feel so comfortable no matter what the situation. And I just love the way they deserve everything that they worked for, because they're just amazing women, right? Yeah. It's not just the way they look, but like you're saying, you know, thank you for the compliment, but that's how I would compliment these wonderful women, because it just felt so very genuine. But yeah, Rachel was the first one. It's all her fault. That's why I'm here talking to you guys, you know. Thanks, Rachel, you know, but yeah, no, she was the first one. I didn't know that there was, you know, because I, you know, at that age, I was still looking at Vogue and Elle and, you know, into the fashion. And I didn't know there was a muscle magazine. Like, what is that? You know, and who's she? Oh, hey, I want to do that, you know. Yeah.
So someone else is asking, and I think we touched on this earlier, does Sharon think bodybuilding was better when you had to buy magazines and watch American Muscle versus today, how it's too accessible? Is there too much, you know, like I was telling Vinny, I miss the days of waiting for the magazine to see who won versus just seeing every day competitors are posting what they look like. There's no buildup.
You know, yeah. I'm not saying that the sport has less, you know, like the athletes themselves are just as amazing, if not even better today. Because like any athlete, information and, you know, things that are available and the equipment and the diet, everything gets better and better and better. You know, the gymnasts jump higher, you know, the track people run faster, and you see the quality of the physiques today. You know, they look different, and, you know, they might be a bit bigger, a bit more chiseled, what have you. But I agree with you on the point that I mentioned earlier. It was so much more intimate and special in the day because, like you said, you had to wait once a month to pick up the publication and to see what was going on, right? And then you didn't get to, you know, to hear us speak or, you know, to see anybody on a show or anything else. Like, you just knew them from the pages. And or like saw them, unless you're fortunate enough to go to the show, you know, and get a seat live. You had to wait, and it was like, wow, I can't wait to go, you know, and get my magazine. So yeah, I mean, the hype has lessened, you know, and I think it's more. Somebody stated it very nicely on one of my feeds when I posted the other day about, you know, what it was like, you know, wearing, like, it was about posing suits. And in my day, that
was a great post.
Right. Oh, thank you. So you read it, and it's like, you know, for example, you're only allowed to wear solid colors. So the big decision was, what color are we going to wear this year? You know, it's going to be black, white, red, as opposed to the suits today that the girls are, you know, they're lucky to wear this embellished, gorgeous rhinestones that look like beauty queens, but it takes away from the physique. because you're sitting there looking at the suits like, oh my, I found myself doing that, sitting next to me and my Aroba. We went to the Olympia this last December, and she's hadn't been to shows lately, and I'm like, oh my God, I love that suit. Oh, that's pretty. Well, I like that one. Instead of like, it's hard to tell the physiques. Like when you see a picture of it, then you can see it's like, oh wow, her shoulders are tiny, but it's like the suit. It's like bling, bling, bling. Back to what you're saying, there was a difference too. It's like when you see them on the magazine, as opposed to seeing them all over the internet and what they looked like before, and I'm 5 weeks out, and I'm 2 days out, and here I am backstage, and here's my selfie, and here's so-and-so, and you hear this, and it's like, that's why I kind of lost touch with everything. Like when I switch more, I always have my foot in the door with my fitness career and family, but a lot of me left because it just got so saturated, and there just too much, like it wasn't such a big deal anymore, right? Yeah. I feel bad saying that because you're all important, you're all wonderful. Like those who may be watching that are competing, like you all look amazing. It's just hard to keep up, and the same. It's like, well, yeah, okay, I already saw her. She looked pretty good, and you kind of lose track of, oh, the show was last week. Oh, I don't know, I saw her or him, or it's just so watered down. It's oversaturated. There's so many competitors, and I think it's wonderful because everybody gets a chance. But then again, it gets kind of confusing because there's so many. It's like so many to choose from. Where do you start, right? So
there's a lot of different divisions now.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there's some great things about that, because it's like you can either be on stage, myself, like, we're all tall next to a little one, the shorter person next to a tall person will look more, stacked and everything. Well, but now you've got like the wellness and the bikini, so for different body types and shapes and conditioning and what have. I think that's awesome. But then it's like, well, who's who,
Who do you like nowadays? Is there anybody that you see in the female side that's up and coming, or you think will be a good ambassador for the future?
The last one I started, the last one I really followed, because I'm a huge fan, is Oksana Grishna. Okay. She's amazing. She is like the ultimate fitness champion, Miss Fitness Olympia, because she's so incredible. And not to say no one else has come on that's so incredible. I think all the girls, like I see them, they all look incredible. But I was, saying to, some of my old school peeps, some of them, they kind of look the same. Like you line them up, they kind of look the same. And back in the day, it's like, if Linda Murray, well, that's Linda Murray. Oh, that's Cory. Like the shape, like everybody had their own look and symmetry and shape. I mean, it's called bodybuilding because we're all different, right? And you bring what you have to the stage. And I think it was Jeff Baer commented on my post, and he goes, even like Samir Bannout or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Frank Zane, you can just have a silhouette of them. You knew exactly who that was. Oh man, I know who that is. That's Frank Zane. You can't deny that. Oh, that's Cory. That's Cory's. That's her pose. But now it's like, I look at all the girls and they're all beautiful and they're all in shape. They all put their work in and they're all out there smiling and glorious, but they all kind of look the same. And there's a lot of them, so I don't know. It's it's kind of overwhelming.
Well, it's evolved, but at the same time became stagnant.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't.
Is there anyone back from your heyday that you still keep in touch with now that are still friendly with? Someone else is asking.
Oh, absolutely. I saw Cory last year in Tamia, and Linda and I speak on, it's funny thing about the internet. It's like, even if you haven't spoken face to face in a while, you feel like, I just saw her yesterday, because you see the posts and, video we're talking on our, feeds and that. But Debbie Mugley, I keep in touch with a lot of the girls. It's always fun to see them and or bump in. That's what I miss about the shows, though, is and again, because there was no internet at the time, so if you were from out of town and we all got to go to either Atlanta or New York or wherever the show was being held that year. It's like all the girls, we're all together, you know. Yay, we all, you know, now we get to have fun and go on stage and, you know, mess around kind of thing. But I miss that camaraderie, working with them on photo shoots and stuff, you know. But I'll definitely, I give it to you, you know, and the guys to definitely try to keep in touch as much as I can.
Were you friends with Rick Valente?
I know Rick from the gym, absolutely. You know, we never hung out. You know, I remember the days at the firehouse, but I saw him at Gold's last year. I'll be heading out again to LA, but that the Mecca, he was training somebody, but had to pop in and say hello. Always a ray of sunshine, that guy. He truly is a good guy. Gotta love Rick, you know.
Yeah.
He's like the mascot of Gold's Gym.
He's a good guy.
Sharon, as you wind down, we talked offline about your wellness. You're involved with the wellness clinic or something. Would you like to talk about that a little bit?
Not a wellness clinic. I've got a couple of things I'm going to launch soon, and it'll be all over my feeds. But finally working on a with a friend of mine, Richard Webb, bringing a book out. It's just a simple guide to health and fitness. So that'll be announced soon. I'm working with Emmerich on a skincare line for anti-aging. You know, like me, if you're over 50, you got to use what you can get your hands on. It's a great product for skincare, wrinkles and sags and all that kind of stuff. And then my YouTube channel, finally, I know I keep saying every year, I'm coming out on my channel. And then I had to reshoot a lot of stuff, and COVID happened, so I lost my, you know, access to the studios and everything else. So we'll be launching that probably end of April. So we'll stream a lot more of my videos on training and nutrition and guides, sharing a lot more stories. So.
And what's your Instagram and your Facebook?
It's just Sharon Bruneau, and Instagram, there's a few Sharon Bruneaus. Mine is at Sharon Bruneau. The hashtag Sharon Bruneau. Thank you for. I don't know who's running that, but there was a young lady. I was told by a dear friend of mine that I worked with like 30 years ago. He started conversing with her. He thought it was me, and she was talking to him, trying to pretend to be me. You know.
Wow.
So,
that's creepy.
And he goes, I knew it wasn't you because I asked one question that you would know. So mine is at Sharon Bruneau, and then yeah, you'll find me on Facebook, Sharon Bruneau. So.
Cool. This has been so awesome to talk to you. Sean and I were so excited to get you on.
I always love to chat.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the stories. So real quick. So if people contact you for any personal training, are you available for that? Writing programs?
Open up again. I stopped personal training for a while, especially with the COVID, and I just found, you know, I do have a couple of clients that I train online, but I'm so hands-on. Like I just got to be there. I want it to be perfect. But so I take a few on. If I know you're not a snowflake, and I'm going to say it because I got tired of the snowflakes that, you know, you try to guide them and, you know, it's like, well, you're not following your nutrition, or you're doing something wrong. You know, no, I'm doing everything you told me. Yeah, okay. Just got word from your roommate you're eating lasagna at 2 a.m., you know, so, you know, kind of thing. But I will start. I do like to, you know, a lot of people will reach out and say, what do you think of this? Or like if it's a subject, and I'll like, here, this is what you need to do, right?
Right.
I'm always open to giving advice and helping out best I can. If I know the answer. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to pretend I'll send you to somebody who knows the answer. But I've got to keep it good and healthy and honest.
Awesome.
Sharon, when it comes to training, is it just people that want to get in shape, like the soccer moms, or are you training athletes as well? Because someone might ask.
Right now, that is prepping for a competition in October. So I've got a couple of athletes, and then I've got a couple of ladies here. I'm back in Vancouver right now. And a couple of older ladies just to get fit and lose weight. It's usually about weight loss or competition, right? So, or the beer belly. Like, well, just quit drinking beer. Just put that beer away. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time.
Guys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you so
Podcast of
much.
One. Please know the door is open because I know we just
Yes.
scratched the surface with you tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have you on again in the future.
I would love that. I'll have more for you.
And I just want to let everybody know, like, we got a good lineup coming up. Next week, April 5th, we have national champion of Tony Freeman, who graced the stage at the Olympia and the Arnold Classic. April 12th, we've got Adela Garcia. And on the 19th, we got Tom Terwilliger. And a blast from the past, 93 USA lightweight champion Chris Faldo rounds off the end of the month. And so we got a good lineup for April. So, tune in and come back and watch Masters Muscle. And thank you again, Sharon. Thank you, Sean. This was a great one.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, folks. And as always, thank you so much for following us. And if you're listening to this on iTunes or any other platforms, please give us a review and hit that 5-star button. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.